Back in 2019, Death Stranding became one of the most divisive games of the year. It wasn't like anything we had seen before. Doing deliveries with a baby strapped to your chest and fighting floating creatures with blood-infused grenades, it just couldn't get any stranger. And yet, it gave us something that we no longer see in the gaming landscape, an original game. Now, Death Stranding 2 takes everything that worked for its predecessor and refines it while also adding a massive amount of new systems to make it a masterpiece. As someone who has been a fan of Kojima's work through the ages, this is the most Kojima game ever and a perfect one at that.
Those who dare disrespect pizza do not deserve to live.
Death Stranding 2 takes place shortly after the events of Death Stranding. Without spoiling much, the UCA, formerly known as the United States, doesn't have porters anymore. It has all become automated, and Sam, our protagonist, is enjoying his life with Lou, the first game's baby. A few things happen here and there that force Sam to go back into action, which leads him all across Mexico and Australia. The plot of Death Stranding 2 is much easier to understand this time around. It carries an even bigger emotional baggage that follows Sam throughout this 50-hour journey. Characters are well written, with the actors delivering stellar performances. My only gripe is that the chapters leading to the ending suffer from pacing issues. There are many plot twists that do not land that well, and some reveals that could have used more time in the oven to make them feel more important. Still, these are just minor issues that do not ruin the game's experience whatsoever.
So, I can stay on the ship?
Even if Death Stranding 2 takes place in two new areas, the gameplay loop remains mostly unchanged from its predecessor. You still need to reach a new location by hiking, driving, or escaping BTs, connect it to unlock new gear, and then move on to repeat the process in a new location. However, the moment-to-moment gameplay is what makes things feel much different. This time, Sam has an even bigger arsenal. There are still many items from the first game that you can fabricate, such as ladders and climbing ropes. However, there are many new things that improve Sam's combat and delivery abilities, like new skeletons or gadgets to collect cargo faster. This sequel also places more emphasis on the environmental challenges. Since the gameplay loop is quite similar, players will now face natural disasters that badly affect how an order unfolds. In one moment, you're delivering cargo to one specific location, but in the next moment, an earthquake happens, putting boulders in front of you and forcing you to change your route. Even when I was driving my vehicles around, which you get much earlier in the sequel, many environmental elements forced me to think outside of the box to reach my final destination. Deliveries aside, combat is another thing that has been improved considerably. In the first game, I never had the urge to engage in a fight. I used to ignore enemies as I ran away with their cargo. Here, however, you can either go the stealthy route or guns blazing. For the former, Death Stranding 2 feels like a refined version of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. You have a lot of gadgets to fool your enemies or defeat them silently or sneak past them unnoticed. But if you want to go loud, there are so many weapons that will let you do the job. Another thing that makes combat so engaging is the enemy variety, of which there's a lot. You start with your usual bandits, but they start getting tougher the deeper you go into Australia. Some wear armor, some use robots to attack you, and a few can even teleport behind you. Also, boss fights are a visual spectacle, with all of them being extremely memorable. Still, I believe the best way to experience the game is in its brutal difficulty, as it provides the right amount of challenge that forces you to use every item in your arsenal. Kojima Productions has always been known for delivering excellent motion capture sequences and super visuals. However, the developers knocked it out of the park. Even on a base PS5, Death Stranding 2 delivers a fully playable experience at 1440p and 60 FPS without frame drops or visual glitches. In a way, it feels like Death Stranding 2 is the first next-gen game we've had on a console that launched 5 years ago. Overall, Death Stranding 2 is Kojima's best work to date. It is the culmination of years of experimentation with gameplay systems and narrative elements that have taken the gaming landscape to unique new levels. Even if it has a few hiccups here and there in the plot, there are so minor that they don't really stain the strangely beautiful world Kojima has created. While it may feel too similar to some players who already experienced the first entry, every single aspect has been refined for the sequel, providing a more engaging gameplay loop accompanied by one of Kojima's best stories. If this is the ending of the Death Stranding universe, it goes out with a bang and sets itself as the most original game of 2025 and a clear candidate for Game of the Year. For that reason, we score Death Stranding 2 on the beach with a 10 out of 10. As always, remember to like and subscribe and visit thenerdstars.com for more game reviews.